Hello, my beautiful, lovely people. Welcome back to a new beginner's Bible study with your girl, Melissa. Welcome, welcome you all. And if this is your first time watching my channel, I pray you be blessed by the content I share on this channel. Welcome. Here on my channel, I share faith-based videos. I share Bible studies, and I pray that you all be blessed by the content that I share on this channel. And if you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know each time I share a video. So we're gonna get right into the Bible study the Bible study, and it's titled "My Alabaster Box." And a couple of weeks ago, I always pray and ask God, Lord, what do you want me to share for the new beginners Bible study? And when I say new beginners, it's not only just for new beginners, but if you've been walking, you've been saved for quite a while, this is for you. And God led me to do like new beginners Bible studies for those that had just got saved, or you've been saved for quite a while. It's because that's how I grew. That's how I grew, because the church I met now, they had a class, and it was titled the New Beginners class, and I learned so much in that class. And so that's why God led me, like, to start sharing videos on Bible study, so that you can grow, you can study the word. We're going to study together. So, but I pray that you all is blessed, and you love the content that I share. So like I said, the lesson is on my alabaster box, and I just want to read you the definition of alabaster box. And I had to look up the meaning of this because I heard this so many times. My alabaster box. I remember when I first heard my alabaster box was from the song by CC Winans, and I just love that song. Like, it have a lot of meaning. So as you listening to that song, and it say, "You don't know the ore that I pour from my alabaster box," and so I really wanted to know what that meant. And so as I looked up the meaning, hold on, yeah, you all, 1 second. Uh, as I looked at that, as I looked up the meaning of that, as I looked up the meaning of the alabaster box, it means a counter, a counter that women use to store ornament for anointing Jesus. The Greek word alabaster, the Greek word is alabastron, which is translated as alabaster box in the King James Version, can also mean perfume. Perfume base. Other translation use the word flash jar or vial. Um, so now I just read you the definition of alabaster box. And so now I want to read you the focus verse is coming from, that's what we're going to be reading from John chapter 3. And then the lesson text is coming from John 1 through 8. Outline 1. The setting for worship. A dinner in Jesus' honor. B. Martha was serving, Lazarus was with Jesus, and C. I will live close to Jesus. 2. Mary's choice to worship. And A. The value of her gift. B. Worship is intentional and often conspicuous. And C. Judas' critique. And D. I will ignore others' criticism when I worship Jesus. And 3. Jesus' response to worship. A. Jesus defend Mary's worship, and Mary's worship. Let me go back. Let me see this one. Mary worship acknowledged Jesus' upcoming crucifixion, and C. I will worship God wholeheartedly. And so we gonna read. We're gonna read. We're gonna read. We're gonna read chapter 12, and we're gonna read 1 through 8. Yeah, we're gonna read 1 through 8. And so chapter 12. This is John chapter 12, and we're reading 1 through 8. Then Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served. But Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. 3. Then took Mary a pound of ornament of spikenard, very costly, very costly. That part right there got me, because when I was looking, we don't get to that. It said very costly. They say when I was studying this, I was reading. It said very costly. That spikenard, that spikenard that Mary purchased, like they said, it was very expensive. Like it was very expensive. Can you imagine that you got your paycheck? And you took your paycheck, you took your whole paycheck, and you went and bought like some spanking art. You went and bought some ornaments. That was very expensive. So when I was reading this, it shows me that Mary, like she really honored Jesus. She really honored him because she took it upon herself. Like she, she purchased some expensive spanking art, to rub on his feet. And so it says, the spanking are very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ornament. Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which shall betray him. Why was not this ornament sold for 300 pence, and 300 pence given to the poor? So here it is, Judas. Judas. This is the same Judas that betrayed Jesus for some coin. So here he go again. His mind is on money again. So Mary purchased this expensive ornament to rub on Jesus' feet, and all Judas can think about is, okay, how come she didn't take this, and how come she didn't take this and she didn't give it to the let's go back. Then not only that, he's like adding up how much he adding up the cost, because Judas said, why was not this ornament sold for 300 pences and given to the poor? Verse 6. This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief. He was a thief. They always count money. Always count up how much money they can make out something. Or if I steal this, I can make this. A thief. So that's how Judas was. He was a thief. And then it goes to say, then he said, okay, let's go back. This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief. And he had the bag and bear what was put there. 7. Then said Jesus, let her alone. Let her alone. Against the day of my bearing has she kept this. 8. For the poor always you have with me, but me you have not. So I want to go back. It's because as I was reading this, we all were reading together, and it just said he had the bag. So that means, I'm just paraphrasing, so that means that Judas was saying all this to Mary, talking about how come this wasn't sold for 300 pences, and how come it wasn't given to the poor? Okay, you saying all this, how come it wasn't given to the poor? How come, Judas? How come, Judas? That money, that the coins that you sold, you betrayed Jesus. You betrayed Jesus for. How come, Judas, you didn't get that to the poor? Like, how come? I'm just paraphrasing. Like, you sitting there and they said he had a bag in his hand. Like, how come? It's sad. It's sad. Can you imagine? And I just want to paint a picture to y'all. Can you imagine? Like, you getting ready to you already, I'm going to say getting ready, you already betrayed, like, your father. You already betrayed your father. The people that already gave you the money, they already say, we're going to give you this amount of money if you hand over your father. So they didn't give you this. You say, okay, cool. All right, I'm going to hand him over. I'm going to tell you where he going to be at, you give me the money, I'm going to tell you he going to be at such and such tonight. And so they done gave you the money, and they coming tonight to get your father. And so you sitting here, I'm just trying to paint y'all a picture. You sitting there with your father, knowing that some people finna come in and snatch him up. You sitting there not only that, so then you have, I'm gonna say, you have your sisters. You say your sister, she's there. She's sitting there, and she knows this is the last night with your father. And so she had this ornament, and she's getting him prepared for his burial. She been rubbing an ornament on his feet. She's wiping his feet with her hair, which shows another thing of like of honor. She's showing him honor again. She showed him honor by the expensive spanking art. She showed him honor by her long hair, and she wiping his feet. And so I just want to paint y'all a picture. You sitting there and and then you have the nerve to say to her, you have the nerve to say, how come you didn't, that spanking art that you have, how come you didn't give it to the poor? But you're sitting here with a bag of, I'm going to say you sitting here with a bag of money that somebody done gave you. It's because you finna you finna hand over your father. Like, it's so sad, like how some people can be so cruel. You could be sitting in a room with a group of people, and sitting in a room with a group of people not knowing that that very person that you sit next to you is going to betray you, or done told somebody about your whereabouts, finna take you out. It's a sad thing. It's a sad world that we live in. And so now I want to read to you what this verse is talking about. Chapter 3, verse 3. And I'm reading from my study Bible. What verse 3 is talking about. And it says, Spankinard was a fragrant ornament imported from the mountains of India. Thus it was very expensive. The amount Mary used was worth a year's wages. Spankinard was used to anoint kings. Mary may have been anointing Jesus as her Messiah King, giving honor, like I said, giving him honor. Verse 4 through 6, where it says, Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which shall betray him, why was not this ornament sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? Verse 6, this he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because not let me go back, y'all. This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and he had the bag and bear what was put there. And I want to read to y'all what that verse is talking about. Judas often dipped into the disciples' fund. That little thief. Judas often dipped into the disciples' fund for his own use. Jesus, of course, knew this, but apparently never did or said anything about it. Similarly, when we choose the way of sin, God may not immediately do anything to stop us, but this does not mean He approves our action. What we deserve will come. Verse 5 and 6. Judas used a pious praise to hide his true motive, but Jesus knew what was in his heart. His life had become a lie, and Satan was entering into his heart. Satan is the father of lies, and lying character opens the doors to his influence. Jesus' knowledge of us should make us want to keep our action consistent with our words. Since we have nothing to fear with him, we should have nothing to hide. Verse 7 and 8. And it reads, Then said Jesus, Let her alone against the day of my burying. Has she kept this? 8. For the poor always you have with you, but me you have not always. And let's read what that verse is talking about. This act and Jesus' response to it do not teach us to ignore the poor so we can spend money extravagantly for Christ. This was a unique act for a specific occasion. An anointing for Jesus' burial and a public declaration of faith in him as the Messiah. Jesus' words should have taught Judas a valuable lesson about the worth of money. Unfortunately, Judas did not take heed. Soon he would sell his master's life for 30 pence of silver. 30. And so that's what that verse is talking about. And so I want to share some notes with you all. And this is from the Sunday school lesson where it says the setting for worship. The setting for worship. Um, Jesus had three friends in the village of Bethany: Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. John 11 recounts how Jesus raised Lazarus from the tomb after he had been dead for 4 days. But the chapter concludes with Jesus once again leaving Judea for his own safety. As the crowd gathered in Jerusalem for the feast, everyone wondered if Jesus would dare show his face. A warrant had been issued for his arrest, but as the Passover approached, Jesus again walked the dangerous road into Judea and arrived once again at his friend's door in Bethany. And so, um, what I like about this, what I liked about this is that, because when he was talking about Mary, she bought the spanking art, and then how she was rubbing Jesus' feet with the oil, and then she took her hair. She took her hair, and then she was rubbing his feet with her hair. Like those, she's showing honor. And so, but what I like about this was saying setting for worship, and he was saying like they was like at this dinner, like it was like a dinner, and they was wondering when he's going to come. Is because there was a warrant out for his arrest. And so, but what I like about this is that Jesus, he still came. He still came, and then with Mary, and I feel like it's honored, it's because I'm just paraphrasing. With me, I would think that Mary was doing it to honor, to honor him, to honor her Messiah, to honor her Messiah. And not only that, I think she probably in her mind, I'm just paraphrasing, she probably thought about all what he had done for her, all that he had done, like for her family, raising her brother from the dead. If you think about a person that this person they getting ready to leave. And so when you think about your mind, you get to think, oh, this person, they did this, they was there for my family, they did that. I want to go. I want to go. I want to go and show, support. I want to go and show that, I appreciate them for what they did. So Mary, she went way beyond, she went to the point where it's like, I'm going to buy this ointment for him. I'm just paraphrasing. I'm going to buy this spanking nurse. And if it means me, using my whole wages, I'm going to use it. Not only that, Mary didn't go to the point where it's like, she's going to get a cloth or something and wipe his feet with a cloth. Mary went way and beyond, to show honor. She used her hair. She used her hair and she wiped Jesus' feet with her hair. That is honor. She was like showing honor. And so that's what I liked about it. And then the part on Jesus, like even though you imagine somebody, they coming for your arrest. They coming for your arrest, and you come for your arrest, and I'm just paraphrasing. No, we don't know. With Jesus, he was thinking like they're coming for my arrest, but before I let them take me, there's one last thing I need to do. Before they take me, one last thing I need to do. I need to go pay a visit to Lazarus' house. Go to Lazarus' house. Go to his family. Before they come, they take me. I want to pay this last visit. And so that is what I liked about this. I just want to share that. And then it said Mary chose to worship. As Martha served and Lazarus sat with Jesus, their sister, Mary approached Jesus with an alabaster box full of precious ornament. She broke the top off this box and poured it over Jesus' feet. Then she unbound her hair long and began to wiping his feet with her hair. She humbly used her hair, her glory and covering, to dry the feet. So now she got the ornament and she wiping Jesus' feet with the ornament. And so now she's going to dry his feet. She's going to wipe it with her hair. She took her hair down. Sometimes we have our hair pent up. She took his hair down and she just began to wipe his feet with her hair. And then it says, dry the feet that had graciously walked so many miles. Jesus walked so many miles. She dried his feet that has graciously walked so many miles to raise her brother from the dead. Like I said, she was just, to me, and thinking like she was just thanking him. She was just thanking him and appreciating, like, thank you. Thank you, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you, my Messiah, my King. I appreciate you for all that you have done for me, all that you have done for my brother. I appreciate you. And then another note I highlighted was the value of her gift. The monetary value of her gift was enormous. Spikenard is an aromatic perfume created from a plant that grows only in the Himalayan mountain. Hundreds, even thousands of these plants would have been harvested and their oil pressed out to create a pound of this perfume. Then it would have been transported probably by camels. The caravan, 3,000 miles from India to Israel. This perfume Mary poured out on Jesus was worth 300 days of labor, or about a year's wages, and may have represented her entire inheritance or net worth. So like that was very expensive. So like I said, it could have been like they said, her wages, her whole wages. Mary was willing to pour out her most precious possession on Jesus simply as a sign of her love for him. What a beautiful act of worship. And the next note I highlighted was, I will ignore other criticism when I worship Jesus. So while Mary was worshiping Jesus, she had the oil wiping his feet and wiping it with her hair, and Judas was saying this stuff. She stayed focused. She stayed focused. She didn't allow what Judas said, to interfere, with her worship. To interfere with her worship, to interfere with her thanking and praising her King. She just kept on. She just kept on. And then the scripture goes to talk about how the whole room, like the room was just filled with the oil, the aroma, like from the ointment. It was like aroma coming from the ointment. It was just filled with the whole room. So you imagine, like I'm just paraphrasing, you imagine like the ointment and the smell of the ointment, like it just filled the whole room up. It filled the whole room up, like it was just lingering all around. So as Jesus getting ready, he's going to his burial, like all that, it was just lingering all on him. And so, but she didn't let that interfere. She didn't let it interfere. She stayed focused. And sometimes in life, that's how you have to be. That's how you have to be. Like, if you worshiping God, you can't let nobody, no one, interfere, with your worship. You're worshiping, and you just gotta, don't let nobody interfere. Something like I turn off my phone, like I said in my other video, because you don't want no interference with your, one-on-one time with God. Someone they you know what? I gotta talk to you later. Like, I'm gonna talk to you later. I gotta do this. I'm about my Father's business. I gotta get what I need to get from him. I need to get what I need to get from him. So does it mean me turning off my phone, turning off my TV to get what I need to get with him? So be it. I'm gonna turn it off. So you don't want to let nobody interfere your worship with Christ. And so that's how Mary was. And it says, Mary never replied to Judas' critique. I think I'm pronouncing this right, critique. Perhaps she was too caught up in worship to even notice. Just as the person dancing or kneeling at the altar is generally, obviously to anyone sitting back in a pew and watching with a critical eye, but clearly Jesus spoke loudly enough that Jesus heard his words and addressed them. So it is likely Mary also heard his criticism, but if so, she never responded. She just focused on worshiping God. She focused on worshiping God. She didn't let Judas, what he was saying. And that's how, we have to be, when you're worshiping, you at church and you just like tuning in with God. You can't be like sometimes when I'm at church and like when I'm on duty and I'm ushering, and sometimes when I see people like they worshiping God, and as we coming down the aisle, we have the envelopes, we have the fan. If I see them like they worshiping God, I just take the envelope and I just take the fan and I just sit it on the side of them. It's because I don't want to interfere. I don't want to interfere, with what they getting from God. They worshiping God, so I don't want to be like, hey, tap, 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 hey, here's the sit it on the side of them. Sit it on the side of them because you don't want to cut off You don't want to cut off their worship and their praise with God. They're in tune with God. So, one more thing I want to share with y'all. One more thing I want to share with y'all before I close this out. And as I was studying this lesson, what came to me, and I was just like, it was so similar. What came to me as I was reading this, and it was saying how Mary prepared Jesus for his burial. I was thinking back to my mother. I was thinking back to my mother. My mother, she was getting ready to leave. They let the family know like she's getting ready to leave, and so she didn't want to pass away in the hospital. She said she wanted to go home, so they granted her request. They sent her home, but they sent her home with hospice care. And so they sent her home with hospice care, and so allowing us to spend time with her. And so as we always spending time with her, it's kind of remind me of Mary. It's because my brother, he had like this, one of my brothers had like this ointment. He had like this ointment, and then he was rubbing her feet with the ointment. And then another one of my brothers he was playing like this, it was like this spiritual, it was like this spirit quiet. It was like quiet spiritual instrumental music. It was like spiritual instrumental music. Like it was no words to it. It was just, you know, instrumental music. He was playing it in the room. And then her brother, which is my uncle, he had these flowers. He came in with these flowers. So here we got the flowers, we got the ornament, and then we got the worship music playing around. So it was setting the atmosphere. It was setting the atmosphere, it was quiet, just real quiet in the room. It was setting the atmosphere. And so when you in the room, when we was in the room, all we can feel like the presence of God. We just felt like the presence of God as we was in the room with her and we saying our goodbyes. And so then people in the neighborhood who my mom, she had witnessed to, ministered to, who she had left an impact on their life. They wanted to say their goodbyes. They wanted to say their goodbyes too. And so we asked her first. We asked her first. We let her know, like, there's people in the neighborhood, they want to come and say goodbye. And she said, yeah. She said, let them in. So we let them in, and they came one by one. Each one of them, they came and one by one, telling her, we love you, Mama Johnson, saying like, the words and hugging on her. And so then, they left. And so, but this just brought back, as I was reading this, I was like, wow. I was like, wow. As I was reading this and I was studying this, like God just brought back to my remembrance, like your mother. Like your mother. When your mother passed away, what did you all do? What did you do? Like, your brother, he had the oil. He was rubbing her feet with the oil. And then my uncle, he had the flowers. And then my other brother, he was like playing music. He was playing instrumental music. And so it was just setting the atmosphere. So, I say my mother, like before she left this earth, like she left here in peace. She left here in peace. With us by her side, she left here in peace. And so I just want to share that with you all. I pray that you all was blessed by this New Beginners Bible Study, Alabaster Box, and pray that it blesses you and that it encourages you to know that, no matter what, you go through in life, no matter what you go through in life, test or trial, or you might have a loved one. You might have a loved one, and they was told that they don't have much to live, and this is your last time you spending time with them. And so, what you want to do, you want to make it. You want to set the atmosphere. You want to make it personal. You want them to feel at peace. There shouldn't be like no confusion or chaos in the room. That's just like my mother. I'm gonna share this with you all, and then I'm gonna be ready to end this video. One of my brothers, when we was in the room, we was praying with her. Anyone that my brother felt like they didn't have faith to believe that God can raise her up, my brother was like, they can't be in the room. He was like, they can't be in the room. As we was praying for her, and he was like, if anyone, like if they don't have, like, they ain't on the right page, they ain't on the right page as we are, and they don't have faith to believe that God can raise up, he was like, they need to, leave the room. And anybody that's thinking negative, he was like, he was like, hey, I'm going to have to actually leave the room, because we got faith and we believe that God can still raise her up. And so I just want to share this. So you have like a loved one, and they might have been told, "Hey, this is their last. They don't have much to. They don't have long to be here. If you have a loved one and they're on hospital care, I would encourage you to spend as much time that you can with them, and set the atmosphere. Set the atmosphere. Whether you're in the hospital, you're at home, set the atmosphere. So as well, like they departure, like Jesus, like Mary did. So Jesus set the atmosphere for their departure. Like it could be just peace. Just peace, like, let the family know, hey, it's just going to be peace. We want her, whoever it is, we want them when they leave in peace. They won't leave, it's confusion. So just set the atmosphere. But that's all. I pray that you all was blessed by this Bible study. Until next time, it's your girl, Melissa.